car behind us that wants to go faster than 78. And I'm in the slow lane. And it gets so close to the back that you don't see headlights. And it just bugs me. And then they back up a ways and they blink the lights. What can I do? Pull off on the berm because there's a tractor and trailer over here. There's no other lanes to get in. I'm going 78 in a 70. And then while they're blinking the lights, they blow the horn. Eventually the tractor and trailer hits an incline, backs off, they pass. We both take exit 100 at Weston, go to Sheetz, and we're both getting gas and a cup of coffee. And the guy's over at the other pump, and I said, "Sir, just what was your problem?" I wasn't being a disciple. I didn't think about God. This is going to be okay with you. I was just angry and frustrated. And he said, "What's it your business?" I said, "If my wife had not been with me when you did that, I would have applied the brakes abruptly just to see how close you were to God." I found out he wasn't real close to God. But you know what? The way I was acting at that moment, I wasn't either. And so we go in to pay for our gas, and we're getting a cup of coffee, and we come out. And I walk over to his pump, and I say, "Babe, wait a second, will you?" I said, "I want to apologize." I said, "What you did agitated me, and I lost control of me." I said, "Because I'm not willing to give you control of me. So I want to apologize how I acted." And he just kind of looked at me puzzled. I said, "When I acted inappropriately, I'd given you control of my life, and that's not who I've yielded my life to." I said, "Now I want to regain the control of my life, so I'm apologizing to you, and I hope you forgive me for being a smart aleck." And we got in our cars, and he went his way, and I went my way, both south on the same interstate again. I wasn't thinking about God. I was thinking about my flesh that was uprising, about some guy for several miles just irritating me. You see, it's not when God's just blessing us that there's a cost to following Jesus. There's a cost to following Jesus because we're a disciple of Jesus Christ. And when you get off track, all you can do is get back on track, right? I'm sure you could share stories of things that agitated you and you didn't act like Jesus. You didn't think about, "Now God, we're going to handle this." You see, following Jesus is not just about Sunday morning. It's not just about the Lord's Day. It's not just about we want people to think we're Christians. The price of discipleship is very high. And to follow Jesus, we're talking discipleship. The price of discipleship is so high that we are called to deny ourselves. If anyone comes after me, he must deny himself. So if I was really acting with God in mind coming down the interstate, I would have probably gone faster where I could have been passed and back down to the speed limit to let this person by. That's not how I handled it. But if I was denying my feelings that were arising up within me and be more God-centered, I would have been accommodating. It's even defensive driving if you think about it. Go ahead and let the guy go. Now look at what I'm saying. Because I'm at 78, so I'm going to have to go 80 or 82 to let him by. There's the other person that's legalistic over here could be saying, "You're sinning." Is it better to do 82 and let him by or argue with him at the gas pump? At which place would he have thought less of me as a disciple of Jesus Christ? At the gas pump. It's not about the law. It's about the convicting of God's Spirit that we're willing to deny ourselves, to stop listening to us and to our voice, to hear God's voice within us. Discipleship is not legalism. Discipleship is following by denying ourselves. It's stopping to fulfill our wishes for the will of God to be done. Our culture, even in our church culture, teaches us to cater to our desires. We're protective if we're really honest. If we would have come in this morning and turned this worship service upside down from anything you've ever experienced, there would have been, it's all right to do that once, but I don't like that. Right? Right? I mean, if we're honest, let's be, But what if the Lord says, turn it upside down and shake it and change it? Which voice are we listening to, us or to God? Well, it's so hard to deny ourselves because we're pretty loud. We know our voice. And sometimes we struggle. God, is this you? Or God, is this me? Or another voice? But we want to hear God's voice and deny ourselves. And Jesus could have stopped there. He didn't have to put it all down at one time and go to the next phrase and say, now take up your cross. I believe theologically and practically with our theology, we have made a grave mistake. And we have said that the hardships of our life is taking up our cross. I don't think that's what God intended. I don't think God intended enduring and suffering to the end and it's going to be okay. If I'm a spouse and I'm living in an abusive situation and my spouse is abusing me, I don't think I'm carrying my cross just to say, honey, just keep beating me. And we've almost taught that into the church that we've put such an oppression on wives, on young ladies, our daughters, our granddaughters, our mothers, our wives, that we've almost justified God's blessing you if you're being abused. That's crazy. Hardships of life are not carrying the cross. A wayward child, a crazy person, those aren't carrying a cross. Jesus is calling us that in cross carrying and bearing a cross is denying ourselves, dying to ourselves. Galatians 2:20 says that we would be dying to ourselves. Jesus is calling us to experience the same shame, reproach, rejection, suffering, hatred, and all of the other words that we could put in that Jesus suffered. Share Jesus' cross, where we listen and seek God's will, not what we want. And where we're picking up a cross that represents Jesus Christ, not our own. And denying our lives that He lived through us. Oh, when I begin to look at this, these seats are not so cheap anymore. Sometimes I believe as a denomination, we have cheapened the seats where you are. We've cheapened them. Because as we've seen in American mainline Christianity declining, we're begging, bartering, compromising, doing anything to just get people in our pews. That's sad that we're going to lower the bar rather than we should be raising the bar. Can I pick on the choir for a minute? Just one. And poor Mark White's not here, and Bruce and Millie's on their way back from Haiti's mission trip. But I'll still pick on them a little bit. I don't know where, when we go to choir practice, the rules are written. But there's rules. There's expectations. That on Wednesday night is what? Choir practice. And when you get into fall, you're starting cantata practice. And it's not just Wednesday night. It may be Sunday evening or Saturday morning. But there's an expectation These seats are not cheap.